Melly was involved in a multi-inmate fight inside the day room of his area unit and was given a DR for his role in the fight. October 2020, placed on a room restriction for refusal.
Back in February of 2020, the Florida rapper YNW Melly, whose real name is Jamel Demons, was caught up in a fight inside the jail's day room involving multiple inmates. Because of his role in that altercation, he was written up and issued a disciplinary report. Later that same year, in October 2020, he faced yet another punishment after refusing to return to his cell, instead attempting to hide while talking on the phone. These incidents, while relatively minor compared to the charges he was facing, painted a picture of a young man whose life behind bars was growing increasingly complicated. Fast forward to today, and the situation surrounding him is far darker. Melly has now been sitting in jail for 6 years awaiting retrial for the deaths of his 2 childhood friends, and a new lawsuit alleges that he is being kept in inhumane conditions. His legal troubles, combined with how jail authorities and inmates treat him, have created an atmosphere that looks increasingly grim as he faces a retrial not set until January of 2027. Life behind bars has not been kind to Melly. Reports indicate that he has been constantly targeted by other inmates for commissary items, clothes, and even money. But if you rewind to 2020, things looked very different for him. Back then, King Von was still alive and would call Melly regularly, keeping his spirits up. Despite being locked up, Melly carried himself with a surprising sense of calm. He would do outrageous things like purchase 6-figure jewelry chains while still inside, using jail phone calls to coordinate custom designs with his jeweler as though he were free in the outside world. His brother, YNW B-Slime, even criticized him for spending so much on things he couldn't use, pointing out how strange it was to buy expensive jewelry that you couldn't even wear in jail. He noted that some of that money could have been better spent on legal fees, though he admitted Melly seemed confident that he already had top-tier lawyers on his side. Looking back, it seemed like misplaced priorities, a young star clinging to his image and lifestyle even while locked up. Over time, though, things deteriorated. By 2022, a new character entered Melly's jail life, Chicago rapper Rico Reckless. The two reportedly clashed inside, and news broke that Melly was thrown into solitary confinement after an altercation with him. He spent months in solitary, which is one of the harshest forms of confinement. When he was finally placed back into a regular housing unit, he crossed paths with another inmate, Nicholas Lewis. Lewis already had plans to escape from county jail, and he and Melly grew close. So close that Melly allegedly agreed to join him in his escape plan. According to police documents, on April 11, 2022, the Broward Sheriff's Office got a tip claiming that Melly and Lewis were plotting an escape involving Melly's attorney smuggling in handcuff keys. Authorities also said Lewis had contraband in his possession. This sparked outrage from Melly's mother, Jamie King, who blasted the accusations publicly. She argued it was nothing but a scheme to damage her son's reputation, especially since there was no hard evidence against him or his lawyers. She said the allegations were designed to sway public opinion and poison potential jurors by making Melly look like a desperate inmate trying to flee. In her view, the jail was purposely making things harder for her son by limiting attorney visits and communication with family, which in turn affected his ability to properly defend himself. But things escalated in 2023. Florida authorities announced new charges against Melly, this time for witness tampering. They claimed he used the jail phone to pressure his ex-girlfriend into leaving the United States so she could avoid testifying against him at trial. Prosecutors filed 6 new charges related to this, including directing criminal activities, conspiracy, and unlawful use of communication devices. Some of these charges carried the possibility of life in prison on their own, separate from his double murder case. As a result, the jail stripped Melly of nearly all privileges, no phone calls, no mail, and no family visits. From that point forward, his only human contact would be with other inmates in his housing unit. Jamie King once again spoke out, devastated by what she described as inhumane treatment. She explained in interviews that even convicted inmates are allowed to use the phone and write letters, but her son was denied those basic rights despite not being convicted yet. She accused Broward jail officials of inventing their own rules without accountability. The situation attracted media attention, and while some sympathized with Melly and his mother, others saw it differently. For example, controversial figure Charleston White reacted by saying Melly deserved every bit of mistreatment he was getting, claiming that someone accused of taking lives had no right to complain. On the other hand, rap veteran Boosie offered a different perspective, sympathizing with Melly's mother and comparing her struggles to what his own family endured when he was behind bars. Things took a darker turn when Melly's ex-girlfriend, Mariah Hamilton, returned to the United States in 2023. She had been living abroad but was arrested immediately upon arrival at Miami International Airport. Court records show she had previously been ordered to testify in Melly's first trial, and prosecutors made her a deal: testify against him, and she could go home until trial. She agreed, and investigators reportedly found incriminating messages in her iCloud that suggested Melly pressured her to avoid testifying. This appeared to solidify the witness tampering charges, giving prosecutors powerful new ammunition against him. Even Juvie's father, one of the alleged victims, publicly claimed that Melly had indeed tried to manipulate witnesses. He described how Melly used code words and indirect communication to pass messages out of jail, all aimed at stopping people like Mariah from testifying. Because of this, Melly lost even the limited privileges he once had and was kept under increasingly strict restrictions. Now, in 2025, Melly's situation has only worsened. His double retrial, which was supposed to begin in September 2025, has been delayed again. The 4th District Court of Appeals issued a stay to allow the state attorney more time, pushing the trial date all the way to January 2027. This means Melly faces at least 2 more years in jail before even beginning his retrial. In the meantime, prosecutors have begun working on flipping his codefendant, YNW Bordelon, also known as Cordelin Henry. A no-communication order was issued, separating Melly and Bordelon completely to prevent them from aligning their defenses. Prosecutors clearly hope that trying them together will increase pressure on Bordelon to testify against Melly. This strategy could be devastating because Melly's defense in the first trial had already attempted to shift blame onto Bordelon. On the very first day of that trial, Melly's lawyer suggested it was Bordelon who pulled the trigger, pointing out that he was the one found driving with the victims' bodies, that he had gunpowder residue on his hands, and that he lied about key details. Expert testimony even confirmed the presence of gunshot residue on his hands, making him a prime suspect. After that mistrial, Bordelon posted a cryptic tweet saying, "Mind games don't work on people like me," which many interpreted as him signaling a willingness to cooperate with prosecutors. Things got worse when Bordelon himself was arrested in 2023 on witness tampering charges. Authorities raided his home and discovered incriminating notes that appeared to be sketches of jurors from Melly's first trial, complete with physical descriptions. This discovery suggested he may have been tracking jurors, potentially to intimidate them, and made prosecutors view him as even more unstable. With Melly's legal team blaming Bordelon in the first trial and Bordelon now facing his own charges, the stage is set for prosecutors to pit them against each other in the next retrial. If Bordelon decides to testify to save himself, it could seal Melly's fate. New pieces of evidence are also being lined up, including social media posts linking Melly to gang activity and even alleged conversations he once had with King Von before Von's death. Former associates of Von have claimed that Melly confided in him about problems with his friends, hinting at motives prosecutors could use. One particularly haunting piece of evidence is a Facebook Live video recorded just hours after the murders, showing Melly and Bordelon dancing and acting carefree in a parking lot as if nothing had happened. To prosecutors, this demonstrates a chilling lack of remorse. The future looks bleak for Melly. His trial delay means more time in a county jail where his privileges are nearly non-existent. His mother continues to campaign for his fair treatment, but prosecutors now appear to hold the upper hand. Between the witness tampering charges, the deal with Mariah Hamilton, and the likelihood that Bordelon will flip, Melly's defense is in a weaker position than ever before. The story raises bigger questions, though. Should someone awaiting trial who has not been convicted be denied all human contact and basic rights like phone calls or letters? Or is this simply the harsh reality of jail life, where even celebrities must endure the same rules as everyone else? Some say he is being treated unfairly, while others believe his alleged crimes justify the conditions he lives under. The next chapter will unfold in 2027, when the retrial finally begins. Until then, Melly will continue sitting in a county jail, cut off from his family, his lawyers under scrutiny, his former friends and co-defendants potentially lining up to testify against him, and his future hanging by a thread.